I sit in my dark room. The plain, bland walls surround me on all four sides. It's quiet. A small lamp beside my bed illuminates the corner of my room in its small amount of comforting illumination. I gaze at the dark corner across from me, watching, waiting. Behind me, I hear the familiar sound of the door being unlocked before it clicks open. A pillar of light from the hallway stretches across my room. I can see the shadow of myself sitting in the chair.
Good evening, sir. I've got your medication.
The nurse says in an overly cheerful tone that sounds more like she's talking to a foal rather than a full-grown stallion. I know it's in good intentions, but it's humiliating, demeaning. Every time she uses that voice, I can't help but feel a rage build up inside of me. I want to turn around, knock that damn tray of pills out of her magic and scream at her, "I'm not a child, you bitch!" But I don't. I haven't said a word since I was brought to this damned hospital. She trots in front of me and sits the tray on the nearby nightstand. She then picks up a small paper cup with her magic.
Now open wide.
Are you giving a stallion his medicine or feeding a foal his applesauce? I think to myself. For a moment, I think about keeping my muzzle closed. Give them some sign there's still a hint of rebellion inside of me. The idea fades rather quickly. The last time I tried that, I had a stallion twice my size force my muzzle open. I feel the pills land on my tongue and a cup of water travels to my lips, surrounded by the unicorn nurse's aura, and I take a sip. She sits the cups back down and makes her way back to the door. She stands beside it as two large stallions enter. The two stallions take me by my forehooves and lead me to my bed. As I lay down, they strap down my chest and legs, all the way down to my hind legs, preventing me from leaving the bed. To protect myself and others, they claim.
Have a good night.
The nurse smiles as the two stallions exit. She uses her magic to turn off the lamp, leaving me in darkness before exiting behind them. I can't help but let out a small chuckle as the door closes. Good night. I haven't had a good night since I can remember. I stare into the corner of the dark room. I feel the same sixth sense return to me as I look on. The feeling is one of pure dread. It comes out of nowhere. It's almost like it just radiates fear and terror. It's not just fear, like some type of phobia. It's a primal fear, like an animal who is cornered and left completely defenseless. The only sound I can hear is the faint ticking of the clock. I never remove my eyes from the corner. Minutes pass before the first signs of its arrival begin. Slowly, I notice that corner of the room fading into the shadows, making it even darker. I feel my heartbeat rapidly increase. It's coming. Slowly, I see a single hoof fall onto the tiled floor. I let out a small whimper, fearful. No, terrified of what's to come. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming, sweet Celestia. It's coming! Its other hoof is placed on the wall. Its head slowly emerges from the inky darkness. A black, greasy mane with large chunks missing covers its face. It drags the rest of its body from the dark, as if it's emerging from a hole just big enough for a full-grown pony to squeeze through, and crawls before rising off the floor with its head still looking to its hooves. Its body is a grayish color, its skin in the later stages of decomposition, bald of almost all of its fur besides a few patches of black here and there. I try in vain to pull myself from the bed straps. Its head slowly rises with a series of sickening cracks and pops. 2 small red dots stare at me from behind what's left of its mane. I can feel its sinister gaze burn into my soul. I just look back at it, with the same tear-filled eyes that I've given it since the times I remember it looming over my crib as a foal. It begins walking toward me. Every movement it makes lets off another series of sickening pops and snaps. I notice something different about its stare. A yellow, crooked-toothed grin spreads across its muzzle, as if it's taking pleasure in watching me squirm in my bindings. It looks at me with a kind of hunger, a kind of stare that a manticore would give its prey before it pounces. It has never looked at me like that before. I pull against the restraints again. By this point, I feel the pills doing their magic and sedating me, making me extremely weak. With what little strength I have left, I start to jerk around, causing squeaking sounds to emanate from the bed. With all the strength I can muster, I still don't manage to loosen the straps. It stands at the foot of my bed, looking down at me. Slowly, it crawls onto my bed. It stands almost directly over me. I can smell its decaying flesh. It has never gotten this close to me before. It stares into my eyes. I can actually feel its cold breath on my coat. I burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. There's a soft creaking noise as the door to my room opens, as a pillar of light casts over the tiled floor to the bed once again.
Sir, are you okay?
The nurse asks in concern.
I thought I heard crying and...
She freezes mid-sentence. The creature then slowly turns its head toward her, gazing into her soul. I then hear an ear-splitting scream as she turns and sprints down the hall. The creature looks back at me, and for a moment, I see a grin spread across its muzzle. It then slowly backs off the bed and back into the blackness of the corner of the room. I sigh in relief and feel my pulse begin to gradually slow. All this time, those nurses and doctors thought I was insane. They thought this being was a figment of my disturbed psyche. But finally, one of them sees it too. Although, something tells me she will end up in one of these rooms soon enough, strapped to a bed as well.